These are the best brands that you can steal AI ads from as inspiration with a full swipe file included for you to be able to go and use yourself. Now, as they say, good artists steal, but great artists copy. And in this video, we are going to be doing exactly that because there are a handful of brands that are in the 8-9 figure realm, crushing it with paid ads and launching almost exclusively AI creatives. And they're doing it so well, it would almost be doing them a disservice not to look at what they're doing, break it down, reverse engineer it, and then copy it for our brand. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the 6 brands that, in my opinion, are doing this the best, the 3 best AI creatives that, in my opinion, each of them have running, and how you can actually break this down, reverse engineer them, take the patterns from those ads, and recreate them for your own brands. So up first, we have Rise Superfoods. Now, Rise themselves are crushing it with paid creatives. They have a whole bunch of variety in terms of the ads they actually have running. They have so many different creative formats. But as you can see, their best performing AI ads are basically a combination of real footage combined with animated food characters, just combined with the fact that they have such a wide style range. Now, this one here, as you can see in the middle here, it's a little bit out there. It's attention grabbing. It's a bit different, which is probably why this one works so well. And it's even something that probably would be quite hard to replicate and pay a creator to say if it was a real person. But let's put it that way. It's absolutely crushing it, which is, as you can probably imagine, expected based on that hook. Now, the biggest takeaway that I've seen from Rise Superfoods as a whole is that it works so incredibly effectively to basically turn your ingredients into a character and then drop them into real footage. Or at least if it's not an ingredient, it's the actual product itself. If you have a supplement or something similar, animate that, make a character out of it, and use it as much as possible. Food as character, it works so well because it makes something that is dull. Obviously, Rise, it's a superfood. It's like this mushroom coffee. It's not that exciting. There's only so much excitement someone can get from a mushroom coffee product. Therefore, it makes it more interesting. The mashup between real and animated is also a great pattern interrupt. Now, moving on, brand number 2 is iam8. iam8 are a great example, once again, of great AI content, but their content specifically falls into one particular bracket that works the most effectively for them. What they do is what I call personify the science. Now, a lot of brands have this similar theme, but with regards to this specific tactic, I see it being deployed by iam8 the most effectively. Of course, this is something that is often hard to understand because we're looking at a product that improves your gut and it makes you healthier. But there's a lot of biological science behind that typically would be quite boring. We saw this to some extent with Rise, where they had that video talking about pH levels and acidity and so forth. There's a lot of things with relation to the actual product itself. Of course, down that sciencey route, biological, not that interesting. So they know for that reason, they have to make their content as entertaining as possible. And they do that through personifying the science. They show the ingredients, they show the mechanism as characters, and this is basically called showing the invisible. Now, of course, the product itself, we're talking about something that happens inside of the gut, inside of the body, and it's impossible to be able to do that with a real creator. So therefore, AI unlocks a new format that wasn't previously possible prior to, obviously, AI in the first place. So my takeaway here, my recommendation based on iam8 is making, again, the ingredient, but also the mechanism as much of a character as possible and visualize what's happening inside the body. Because A, you can't without AI, but B, the reason why it works so well so simply is because people don't expect to see a diagram of the intestines, the gut, whatever it may be. So again, it's an education-heavy product. They add a character to this with great visuals, and it makes the science actually watchable, entertaining, and not boring. Now up next, after iam8, we have Pet Lab Co. In my opinion, one of, if not the best brands when it comes to resources, when it comes to education, when it comes to overall inspiration for AI ad creative. Such a wide diversity. I think they're also probably at the forefront in terms of testing different formats. I see them testing so much new stuff, so many new styles, and just overall different formats that then other brands catch on to as a result of Pet Lab having tested them. But as you can see here, they have 3 great visuals that we'll break down shortly. They really do have a maximum format variety. They have more variety than basically any other brand, maybe with Liven as the one exception, which we'll go into next, because some of their content, some of their formats are completely absurd. But again, with Pet Lab here, they have so much stuff where they're not even trying to make it look real. It's absurd. It's deliberate. There's no intention of making it realistic. Obviously, with these animation style content, with the Pixar, with the Stitch style content here, it doesn't matter as much because it's not trying to. It is deliberately animation. But then this one in the middle here, it's like, it's not animation. It's more leaning towards trying to look human, but it isn't human at all, of course, for obvious reasons. The dog's in the suits, drinking whiskey and so forth. But the lesson here, the takeaway is just go absurd. It doesn't matter. I think there's such a limiting belief people and brands have when it comes to creating AI content that they can't do this. They have to make it look perfectly realistic. My advice to you is adopt the mental model of going as absurd as possible. Vary the texture as much as you can. Obviously, yes, we have this felt style. We have Pixar. If you look inside of their ad account and their ad library, they have so much more. But just go as wide as physically possible. And again, the mental model you want to adopt here is focus on creating something that stops the scroll, like dogs dressed up performing a heist, as opposed to making something look as realistic as possible. The weirder and less ad-like it is, the harder it breaks the scroll. One of the biggest lessons I ever learned about advertising as a whole is from Daniel Iles, who talks specifically about the Facebook algorithm tax. Now, his background was from organic content. Having mastered that, he then had a really easy time mastering paid when it comes to Facebook. And the reason why is because the algorithm Meta obviously wants to curate a very consumer-focused experience, and therefore they will simply reward you for creating content that doesn't look like an ad. It's really as simple as that. If you create content that looks like an ad, you will pay that tax for it because you are damaging the consumer reputation. So therefore, when you create content that doesn't, Meta's going to push it more, your costs are going to be cheaper, and you reach more people. And ultimately, the weirder something it is, the less it looks like an ad. These don't look like ads, they look like organic content. It works so well because it breaks the scroll because of how different it is, and no one's automatically got that ad detector, the radar in their head that automatically goes off when they see something that looks like an ad. And of course, it just very much breaks the scroll. Up next, we have Liven. Now, might take back the comment I made about Pet Lab Co. saying they could be the best brand for inspiration. I've got to say Liven here right now are actually the best by far, better than anyone else on this list. When we're talking about content absurdity, then these guys just absolutely knock it out the park compared to anyone else. I'll be honest, some of the content that they launch is just crazy. It's so out there. It really feels like they have no quality control process on the content that they launch. They basically just launch anything, but it obviously works because they are spending a lot of money. They're producing a lot of content, and most of these ads are running for a long time. So there are two main formats that I wanted to pick up on in this video. The first is this very relatable Pixar emotional moment. And if we look at their ad library, if you do a deep dive into some of the ads that they have running, they have so many different variations of this where two people are in a relationship. The woman is acting very distant with the man. The man doesn't understand why. There's this very kind of like emotional, resonant feeling where people have been in that similar situation. The woman is trying to get to the bottom and understand why she is very distant, why she is not feeling the same way towards the man. And it just creates this very emotional moment that, again, is extremely relatable. But they're doing it in a Pixar format that is great because it's trending. It's great because it's different. It breaks the scroll, the pattern. But at the same time, it's just not something that you'd be able to at least easily record with real creators in a simple, relatively cheap and in a fast process like you can with AI animation. And then second of all, this is where it gets a bit crazy. They have so many videos of animals living human lives. We've got a bear on the treadmill at the gym with its ex-girlfriend and her new partner coming into the gym and recognizing them. We've got these Labradors with a cat sat at a table having lunch. It's just a bit absurd, but people are pulled in by this because of how absurd it is. That stops the scroll. We've got two different viewers covered very well here. If we look across the spectrum, we've got people that are going to be drawn to this absurd AI content that find it funny. And then we've got people that are drawn in for those emotional videos too. And then penultimately, we have HoloSocks. These guys probably are the best to look at if we're looking at brands specifically that focus on education. The product itself, educating people. It's acting as a self-aware narrator. Now, of course, with an ad creative, the goal to a large extent, dependent on where that creative is within the funnel, its job primarily is to educate the audience. However, a lot of the time, what brands focus on doing is not making it obvious that they are trying to educate the audience. HoloSocks have done the exact opposite here. As you can see, they directly have the sock itself, the product, as a teacher in a classroom with this board, with its stick pointing at the board. It's educating people directly, but it's such an entertaining, different format that it doesn't come across as this is an ad and we're trying to educate you on the product. It's such a great, effective format. Then we have this Pixar style. We have occupational persona that's relatable, directly targets that specific audience. And they have so many variations of this inside of the ad account where they have those different personas that are being targeted. And then they have this video here, which I'll dive into as well. Really, really effective piece of content because we have so many different formats, different content styles going on in the video. We have whiteboard, we have animation, we even have some real creative footage here, then blended with AI. Really effective and just makes the pain concrete and again, relatable. Again, as a whole, if we look at HoloSocks, the theme consistent in their ad library is every single creative they have live teaches the pain. It focuses so much on the pain because it actually is a real pain. Like it's a physical, visceral, emotional feeling that people have when their feet are sore. So of course, they dive into this as much as possible. They turn the product into a character. They educate the pain incredibly visually. So I would recommend doing something similar. Where possible, make your product an actual teacher. Have a diagram on screen showing the pain itself, connect the two together, test and mash up loads of different formats to test that exact same concept. It works so well. The product as character is still very novel. Of course, a lot of brands are using this, but if we look at the overall level of consumption, it's still incredibly novel. So tap into this format as much as possible and then try and use things like diagrams here, as you can see, to make people feel the problem even more. Now, for some reason, it's just a human thing. Whatever the reason may be from like a neurological perspective, people respond well to things like whiteboards, whatever format, whether it's a chalk blackboard, whether it's just someone pointing at a whiteboard, even if it's AI, people automatically, for some reason, see whiteboard and perceive authority. It's why so many YouTube creators will post their thumbnails where they have just like this completely jam-packed Miro board full of stuff that isn't even legible with their face on the screen because it looks as if they have information. It's that perception of authority, and they're doing the exact same thing here. And then finally, we have HiSmile. Really great content here, similar to what I mentioned with Pet Lab. Whenever you have any product related to the mouth, breath, you want to make that as visceral as possible, and they do that so well. They make the impact of having bad breath and oral problems basically disgusting, and that's what gets people's attention in the first place. They also use this content style here, as you can see, this kind of Zach D film style animation, if you've seen that on social media. Again, super simple playbook. If something is going viral organically, Zach D Films on Twitter gets millions of impressions and views on everything he posts. Why would you not go and use that format for paid ads? Because of course, it works, people like it, but second of all, like I mentioned with the previous lesson, something is going viral organically. When people see it as an ad, it's not going to be expected that it's an ad. They don't realize it's an ad. You don't pay that Facebook tax and you get cheaper costs. So they have that realism. They have this kind of futuristic breakthrough with this great viral content format again, this skeleton-based animation going incredibly viral, but they have this kind of like futuristic breakthrough framing, as I said. So scientists have mapped out every system in the human mouth. What was invented next will change how you brush forever. Of course, it's just kind of like that breakthrough. People want to understand what that actual understanding was, what was invented. It's a simple case of a great hook that gets people to watch on, with obviously that viral format of content at the same time. And then this exaggerated reaction format. Again, this is just about being a bit creative. I always say that AI is only as good as the person using it, and you still have to be very creative. I've not seen many other brands doing this, where they have a real creator there at the bottom, and then they have this Pixar style content almost as like a reaction format. So the person reacting to the Pixar style content, really effective. And again, just being as different as possible will always work. With HiSmile, it's again, a relatively boring commodity-based product. It's teeth whitening, it's toothpaste, everything basically related to oral care. The more you can kind of make this as entertaining and as dramatic as possible, the better you are going to do. So exaggerated reactions, scientific breakthroughs, obviously using AI to really make, again, that pain, that oral care problem feel as disgusting as possible. Pair it with these big reaction faces. It works incredibly well. It makes a commodity feel newer. And obviously there's a lot of curiosity developed around, people are thinking maybe I have this same problem too, and I'm not aware of it. Of course, it does a great job of bringing in unaware audiences when they see what people could be facing, and they obviously start to consider whether they're in the same boat. They're just not aware that they have terrible breath, for example, or the curiosity in itself just drags people in because they want to understand what will make me change. I've been brushing my teeth twice a day for the last however many years I've been alive. What is so new that's going to change how I brush my teeth forever? So a great job of curiosity here. Another overall brand with a great library of AI ads that I would 100% recommend taking as inspiration. Now, in the comment section below this video, I have pasted a link to the 4Play swipe file, where I have saved the 18 videos that I just analyzed for these 6 brands, along with a ton of others by them. So there's around 30 to 40 individual AI pieces of content from these 6 brands in that swipe file. Go and click on that, get access to those videos, reverse engineer them, break them down, try and recreate them for your own brands. I'd very much recommend using something like Claude or Gemini. You can simply upload the video that you have downloaded to Claude and get it to potentially extract patterns, do a psychological analysis of why that video works so well, and then come up with suggestions as to how you could recreate and replicate that style for your specific brand. Now, as always, I hope you found this video valuable. Leave a comment below if there's anything that you'd like to see next. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.